Hi, guys. Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of The Next Chapter with Tiffany. This is number two of a two-part series I had with my friend, Rod Blunk. He is a husband, a father, a veteran, an entrepreneur, a cancer survivor, and a guy that wants to give back to fellow veterans and first responders. He just finished up a retreat, actually, the very first one, with 10 vets where they immerse themselves in all things when it came to healing, bonding, teaching them how they can become their own boss. And I guess it was really successful. So I'm really glad and happy for him. So be sure and look for him through Warriors Number Two Wealth, Warriors to Wealth. You'll find him on Instagram doing little daily motivation and inspirational things. Make sure you subscribe to The Next Chapter with Tiffany as well. I plan on making this thing grow, and I plan on doing great things and having more guests and also doing tidbits of my very own. So thank you guys for taking this journey with me. Enjoy number two of my interview with Rod Blunk.
And my purpose is to enable our military, our active duty, our first responders to identify and execute their lifestyle mission.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
So,
I do.
yeah.
And we talked a little bit the other day about what you're talking about right now and about how we have, our bullseye moves from time to time and things
Yep.
shift a little from time to time. But the point is to always have the bullseye and those four quadrants. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that applies to my life as well. And I love that.
Yeah. You got some crazy shit. I'm not interviewing you, but I'm sure we could go down some serious rabbit holes.
Oh yeah, totally. Yep. This is therapeutic for me because I love to hear about other people's victories. And yes, you've been through a lot, but you also have some massive victories. And that to me is so inspiring. And I love that. And that's why I'm doing this, is to not only share your story and, there's other people that would be inspired by you and want to actually probably talk to you and go, what the hell's Warriors to Wealth? I mean, I'm a vet. What is this?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, that's great. I love that. But also it's like a win-win for me because you're inspiring me like crazy, because not only that I know you and I have a love for you because we go way back, but I'm so glad that you're healthy, as healthy as you can be, with whatever's left over, the residual shit that's banging around in your body from all of that treatment and being a vet and all of the things that you've done. But look at what you're doing. You are giving back. And that's what I love.
Oh, yeah.
And I would like to caveat that into, I want to talk more about your service, but you mentioned Warriors to Wealth, and I want to talk about where that came from, what it is, and what your goal is. So there you go.
All right. So that came about really after all the cancer and the journey there, because it's a journey. Cancer's a journey.
Yeah.
And if people tell you that, if people don't tell you they figured out the journey, well, they're going to, in my mind, they're going to end up with cancer again because they're still a victim. And that's one of the biggest things about cancer is determining your journey not to be a victim. And that goes back to the finding your freedom and finding your path and moving down that mission profile. Where was I going? What am I doing here? Warriors to Wealth? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, half of that, we started doing some investing back in 2012. 2008 took a lot of our mutual funds, destroyed it like a lot of us, and 2000, we're doing the mutual funds. Oh yeah, just keep putting money in, buy shit, right? And in 2012, no, still not even at the same where we were in 2008. Just keep throwing shit. So we decided. My wife looked into some real estate. We read, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we're like, this is bullshit. I'm done with this standard operating procedure. They think it's going to work for you. So I went to the mutual fund guy, and we pulled every dime I had in my mutual funds out. And he says, what are you going to do? I said, we're going to do real estate. And he goes, yeah, you'll be back. I'll go. And I said, I don't think so. And I said, I'll call you in a year. I said, okay, call me in a year. We'll figure out. So he calls me in a year, and I said, he goes, would you like to come back? And, I got some stuff, these funds, and you still got time. And I'm like, dude, I've already doubled my money.
Nice.
From what you were doing with it without paying you anything.
Right.
So anyway, so we flipped houses. We renovated houses. My wife wholesaled houses. We hard money loaned, and that was all going well. Like we were doing that when I got diagnosed with cancer.
Mm,
But when you get diagnosed with cancer, guess what stops? All that active work,
absolutely.
right? So that's a big financial. It's about $70,000 financial outside of like anything we could do. He was a huge hit.
Oh, I bet.
So we get back out of there. And we're like, okay, well, as we were looking, what are we going to do? We were thinking about doing some more. We were still doing hard money loans because that was easy. We knew what that was, and if we had to, we could flip the house if we ended up taking it back. So we started looking at other assets. So we looked at mobile home parks. We looked at RV parks. I didn't want toilets. I didn't want to. Like we had rental properties. We sold those. Like we were selling them all. We're getting rid of all this shit. I don't want toilets. I don't want somebody stealing my copper. I don't
Yeah.
want somebody stealing my AC unit, right? So we got out of that, and one of the friends that Kristen was wholesale to said, "Hey, you need to look at storage." Like,
Mm,
God, that sounds simple. So we got into storage, right? We got this group, Scott Myers Self Storage Academy, amazing group of people. So we did the courses and learned how to do that. Which I'm telling you, you could be stubborn like anybody else and try to learn it yourself, which we were doing. We weren't going anywhere. Like I said, we kept looking at stuff, but we said if we're gonna accelerate, we're gonna get out of this rat race, out of this thing. We're gonna spend the money. So we spent the money, and we spent money on the other one too, right? To educate ourselves. But this one was a community that they really wanted to see you succeed.
that's awesome.
And so we were so involved with that we knew that in our hearts we'd be back there, right? We knew that we'd be back there somehow, part of that. And that's a funny story because guess what we are? We're actually back there as part of that. We also joined the mastermind. So, lo and behold, we ramp up and we now own 3 storage facilities,
Dang.
right? No
That's one
storage
of my things
facilities.
I always tell people. If I had a brain in my head when I lived in McCall and Cascade,
Yep.
I
Oh
would have
yeah.
started buying property and start freaking storage. Because now
Yep.
everybody needs storage.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good for you
Yep.
guys. Wow.
We invest in 4 others. We have some other commercial stuff. So I did a lot of stuff in commercial. That makes sense.
That's
So
great.
that's what we did. And so during that though, the community, the like-minded people and all that said, I got to figure out where my purpose is to make sure people are in the military and the veterans aren't stuck. They're not trying to, because at the same time during all this stuff, what's the military do? Military gets rid of the 20-year retirement.
Oh,
Right? So
yeah.
you used to be able to go 20 years. If you're reservist, you still go 20 years. You just don't get till you're 60. But go get rid of that retirement when you leave, right? So Wes, my friend Wes, right?
Yeah.
He gets a retirement. My nephew who just joined and is going to be a pilot, he gets a TSP. A TSP is just a fancy word that the military gave to a 401k. Does my nephew get to pull that out the day he gets out? Yeah, he can pull it out and be taxed.
I was going to say, at
It's
the
no
rate
longer
of,
at the rate of 5%
yeah.
minimum.
Jeez.
That's not what retirement was supposed to be out of the military.
No.
So, that's a tough sell, right? What do you think some of the people you were getting, different whole rabbit hole,
Absolutely.
right? But so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna impact the guys before they leave. I'm gonna impact the guys who left and don't realize they didn't know what they didn't know, and I'm gonna help out first responders because I'm in the same shithole as everybody else. And so I started figuring this out. So after talking about my passion of what this is, and Kristen saying, "Hey, we got to figure this out," one of our other friends said, actually, ironically, the same guy that told us we need to do storage said, "Rod, just do it. Just do it." So I bought a website. I figured out my passion. Originally, I was going down this path of calling it soldiers to wealth, and then I realized I was excluding people by using the word soldiers. And
Oh,
people told me that, hey, you're excluding the people that you want to help. And I'm like, ah. So I still have a Facebook called Soldiers of Wealth, but it really moved that over to Warriors of Wealth. So I started Warriors of Wealth on Facebook as a group. And then from there, I launched got the web page, the .com. And so that's been going on now for about a year and a half.
Nice.
And so building that mission, discussing it, a lot of discussions with Brooke on her visions and what she's doing with legacy navigation and how she got out of her W-2 and she's thriving at what she's doing. And they're just down the street from you.
Yeah, literally.
Yes. Yeah, literally down the street. So we've talked and conspired. And so I launched that. And now, so doors. Let's talk about doors.
Yeah.
So during my journey, doors would open and I wouldn't go in the door. I didn't know who was giving me these doors. Well, the ultimate energy, the Lord Almighty, had these doors. Said, "Here's a door for you. I have a path. Look in this door." I was still kind of stupid. I didn't realize it.
Sure.
The passion's there. I'm telling you, with that freaking shit I put in your head, go in that door. And I wouldn't go in the door. And then until I had all the people telling me, go in the door, dumbass. It's right there. That's when I started. And then more and more that door and the more and more feedback I got, I'm like, wow, this has got something, right? And so that's where I came up for Out of Warriors LF, it was like, what's the real purpose? Well, purpose is that lifestyle mission. And then so now it's Warriors of Wealth lifestyle mission, right? Identify and execute and live out your lifestyle mission. And I had the quadrants, but I hadn't built the quadrants. Then I built the quadrants.
Okay.
And so now the quadrants are there, the building's there. And now as I was going through and doing this, I said, I'm not achieving yet the help I need to give. And so I started figuring, okay, what's my 10-year outlook? I'm going to own 300 acres or 100 acres, and it's going to have a lifestyle campus where everybody can come. But I got to figure out baby steps to that. So I started figuring out, and then I just talking to various folks. One guy, another veteran, helped me find a veteran that's down in Southern Maryland. This guy in Southern Maryland has a farm. And so I went and met with him. Total badass door kicker, right? He is a badass who was going down a very bad path. His knuckles have tattoos on his knuckles that say pure evil.
Oh, wow.
Knuckles that say pure evil. Well, he's missing a finger from his pure evilness because of some shit he did. He is now found where he's supposed to be as well. Good. So he has a farm. He has a jiu-jitsu training center on that farm. And so we started working, talking, and conspiring. Some other things have happened. 4 weeks ago, we said, okay, here's our date. Okay, what are we going to do? Wow, fuck it. We're just going to go, right? We got to set the date or we're not going to do what we need to do. So we set the date. And now it's this Friday, the 6th of June. And we're taking 10 veterans. And we're like, well, how much is it going to cost for them? Nothing. It's going to cost them nothing.
Oh, man.
Because I'm building a team aspect, and that team is going to come back and give back.
Absolutely.
And it's going to build this community to get the team membership and the team mindset, which these guys had when they're in the service.
Yeah, that's right.
And veterans trust veterans before others. And I'm going to get that so I can get them to think about what they need to do so that they can go back to their communities and build a team aspect there and build and change the bullshit that's going on today.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome. That's truly beautiful. Absolutely. And I love what you were saying about set the date, because it's setting intention. Yeah. It's all about intention, right? And then once you set that intention and it's like, okay, I have a deadline, and that just rolls. And then you look back and you're like, why the hell did it take me a little longer than it should have? But you did it. And it was all within the time it was supposed to be. But this is beautiful. I love that. And I see you traveling and bouncing all over the place. Is this all for Warriors to Wealth that I see you travel?
So some of it's the training, right? So we got another door open during all the stuff. People like Rod and Kristen, you guys have an amazing story. You guys are a true team, true partnership, true husband and wife, solid goals together. I mean, she's helped me figure out shit and in multiple ways. And so they said, we want you to come back and train just husband and wife teams how to own and operate self-storage, because there's a lot of husband and wife teams out there.
Awesome.
And so we said, all right, well, we'll come back. We'll be part of this stuff. And so as that's a door. We're like, so we'll go through the door. Go through the door, dumbass. So we do. So now we're part of that group, Scott Myers Self Storage Academy,
Wow.
and we present our story. Right. We start about 2008. Go through how we got into storage. Go through the, hey, this traumatic events cause you to do different things,
Yeah.
and we talk about that. As a matter of fact, during that presentation, I actually leave during the discussion of my cancer because of she goes and talks about how it impacts her
Oh,
and how she had to remain strong because I couldn't do it. I was the guy that couldn't do anything, right?
yeah.
And so that brings a lot back at knowing that I failed to me, even though I didn't fail because I gave what I could, but it's still a thing that comes back to me failing through that time period. And I haven't. I'm working on it. Right, I
Okay.
worked through
Okay.
that mode, but it's just something that's there, right? It's a feeling that you get that you didn't achieve your portion, and that's a lot of the stuff about the failure and the mental mindset, right?
Sure.
I got to get realized that my mental mindset to not be a complainer was my portion of the mission, but we were a mission team, and her portion of the mission was the strength, right?
Right.
I had
Right.
the mindset, she had the strength, and yeah, it's just so anyway, that becomes a story. And then we talk about how we got in there and found the tools and found this stuff. There's a cost to all that program, but it there's a lot of relations to what that means. Like we don't spend a lot of time owning storage and operating. We spend 10 hours a month,
Nice. That's the
right? But
best
it's
thing ever.
best thing ever. But it's paid for extra income for 2 colleges,
Mhm.
soon to be 3. That 2 of them are getting out, and no, not only that, that it also paid for private school. My goal is December. I'm done doing this passion full time, doing more. Where we're going to start. We've started a transition company. So when people are going now, they have the keys to their storage. So we're going to train them how to operate and get it off the running right day one. First one this weekend, and I'm going to replicate it. I'm going to figure out and if people have acreage, man, talk to me.
Oh
People have a
man.
passion for people, talk to me because I'll come to your neighborhood and do a warrior to wealth event it, with the right people.
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
connector now. I'm a connector that finds these people and we put them there and we succeed on missions. But eventually, this is going to be back where those guys give back, if it's in donations or sponsorships to the veterans, to get them there. And that's what we're doing.
That's
Like
awesome.
it's costing me money, but my money's going to be well spent to make these things happen. Yeah,
Absolutely.
impacting one life
Yeah.
is well worth the money I have to spend. Now, don't get me wrong. If you go out and look a GoFundMe up for Warriors to Wealth, you'll find a GoFundMe.
Well, like you can make donations and things like that
Yeah,
because it's a
yeah.
not for profit or what do you have
It's a
said?
profit.
It
I
is a
mean,
profit. Okay.
it's a profit because I haven't had the time. I had 4 weeks. I
Okay.
have 4 weeks to figure that out, and eventually, this is going to be a thing that all the opportunities these guys can come out of them. It's going to be a way for them to do it. Like one of the things I teach. So I teach self-storage ownership to veterans. I'm going to build a brand across the United States of veterans that are, the bottom logo says proudly still serving you.
Yeah.
And it says veteran self-storage or says veteran storage solutions. And we're going to, hey, you're leaving here to move there? Call Tom. Tom loves veterans. He'll take care of you.
Yeah,
And that's what we're
yeah.
going to do.
Oh, I love that. That's so neat. I love that. And the story is so awesome how you've, like just completely went through this transformation. You've always had this mindset of, who you were from the core because we've known each other a long time and you've always been what I would consider a good guy. Seriously. So, I'm not surprised that you've made this complete full circle and ended up being of service on top of your service, to this country. So, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate your service for sure. But I love that you're on this mission to give back and to teach other people. It's like turning around and helping somebody up the side of the cliff. You're like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
man, come on. I know this. Let's do this the easier way. Don't do this the hard way. And let me teach you how to do this. And I want you to be wealthy. I want you to be successful. And
Yeah.
don't make mistakes that I made, and
Right.
I'll give you shortcuts and let's do it this way. And I love that. I love that. So, dude, you're the bomb. Yeah,
Yeah. Just trying to make an impact, right?
absolutely.
What's the impact I'm leaving?
Yeah, and I
Even
think
to my
that's our
kids, like,
job.
yeah.
That's our job.
I mean,
And
it's those are the achievements that I want, right?
oh, hell
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I try to do daily things, discussions out there. Like I actually every month, every 4 weeks, I have a week focused in on the quadrants. So it just rotates between mental, physical, spiritual, and financial. So like this week's is spiritual, and it was great because I threw it out on Instagram this week. Hey, look, at the end of this week, I'm going to be so recharged, so drained, but so recharged because I'm focused on giving that energy to these 10 guys,
Yeah.
right? So, and then next week goes back to mindset, right? Goes right back to mental mindset of being strong enough to continue to move forward regardless of the shit that's thrown at me. Like I'm also throwing out one of the things I started on a kind of conversations out there my cancer sucks series. So I'm on number 6, and I just take 30 seconds of, hey, this is out there, something to think about, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, just don't be a victim.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely.
so anyways, just that's where Warriors Wealth is going. It's not done. It's growing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was talking to a whole bunch of veterans this weekend. They can't make it this coming weekend. They're like, "When's your next one?" Well, it's going to be in September. And I just was talking to another guy. And we're one of the guys that one of the missions I have is to be a support base, right? Base camp or command center support
Mm.
to the actual guy I'm going to do it with. He needs to move his family to Costa Rica because of health issues with some of the kids. He has a farm, and we're doing this to be our first one to refine it so he can go to Costa Rica and find the farm so we can have a satellite Warriors to Wealth weekend or a wellness warrior weekend down in Costa Rica where
Oh,
you can do other deeper things you can't do in the US because of big pharma doesn't think it's appropriate for you to do it.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we're doing it.
Good. Good. Yeah, that's a whole
And that's going
another
to be,
conversation
yeah.
that I'm fascinated with, and people are like,
Oh, yeah.
what are you talking about?" Subliminal
No,
messaging.
no, well, if you don't know, you don't know. And you may not want it. You may not be ready to know, but when you
Right.
will know, you'll know.
Right.
I
No,
mean,
I think again, we're going back thousands of years back into humanity saying, gosh, they did all this stuff back when, when there was nothing else, and they were closer to their spiritual whoever they looked to, and their mind was open, and the healing.
the fourth dimension.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot there. We
Oh,
use such a tiny little percentage of this thing in here.
on
Tiny.
purpose.
Yeah.
On purpose.
It's not right. And I'm all about
Nope.
trying to open my mind all the time. And if I know this without going too far into the weeds on that one, that if I was a veteran that had come home and was dealing with a lot of things I just could not get a handle on, the first thing I would do is go across the border, and I would look up those 2 clinics down there
Yep.
that are all about getting me back to baseline.
Ran by veterans. Ran by veterans.
Yeah, yep. Getting me back to
Here.
baseline. What? Yeah, right. Huh. Yeah, the veterans are going to run the world one of these days, and I'm okay with that. So, because some of the best companies, some of the best supplements, some of the best clothing, coffee, you name it, are all coming from our vets these days, and I am so happy about that, and I wholeheartedly support that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love
Absolutely.
it when it says veteran owned. Okay, I'm in. I mean,
Yeah.
I may not
Oh,
be able
absolutely.
to support them like directly, like thank you and give you a hug next time I see you, but I could support their dream and their vision and their
Yeah.
business by buying something from them
Absolutely.
in a
I mean,
heartbeat.
I have a veteran. I specifically looked for a veteran company that does T-shirts. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing one of his T-shirts right now.
Oh, I love that one.
Well, this one hits home. So veterans right here. Veterans are giant guinea pig or military are giant guinea pigs. I got the
Yes.
anthrax. Yeah, I got the anthrax shot series at least 3 times. They couldn't finish it because I got deployed. I come back. Oh, we didn't finish it. We got to start you over. So in total, I had around 10 shots, 10 or 11 shots.
Okay, so that being said, do you think, and because you were in
Oh,
Iraq, this is part of your
it could have
deployment.
been that. The burn pits.
Okay,
You said anything, right?
I'm getting back on. There you go.
Okay.
Yep,
So you
say
said
it.
you said I could say anything, right?
Yep, yep.
So because of the radiation and everything, I lost saliva glands. So I've already drank this much water here.
Mm-hmm.
I drank this thing here. It was full. I'm almost done with this one, and I've got the backup.
Jesus. and still, you got to wet your whistle all the time,
Still,
and then
I
you're
gotta wet my
probably
whistle.
and you're peeing all the time.
Well, so I just did my Mike Myers pee from whenever they froze him, right? And they brought him back from whatever that show was. Yeah, if I could sit in there and Austin Powers, Rod Blunk, or,
Yeah,
two things.
yeah.
One thing that Austin Powers and throw cancer people have in common, they'll pee a lot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you'll never see a throat cancer survivor without water. Literally, I will show up with water.
Yeah. Well, good.
All the time. I show up to restaurants typically with water.
Oh, no kidding. Now,
because I don't know how long it's going to take them to get me water. And that doesn't change your fact that you need liquid. Right. So doing the hydration, it's great for your body. If I drink 2 gallons of water a day, I have to drink salt water. I use Himalayan salt, and I'll mix it into a glass, and then just drink it down.
Who Gary Brecka is?
I have heard of him. I probably heard him.
Yeah.
Something, but yeah.
He's phenomenal when it comes to, he's a human biologist, so he knows all things about the body. And that I recommend him to everybody to follow him on anything just because, yep, Gary Brecka.
And
he says, he's the reason why I bought this because that Himalayan sea salt doesn't have as many minerals as Baja Gold. Yeah. But anyway, I would listen to anything that he has to say about the human anatomy and what things work and what doesn't work. And yeah, you can take this vitamin, but take this one instead because it has more on it. Yeah, methylated this and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So
methylation is very important.
Yes, it is. Yes. So anyway, what about the shit's getting real times, like you were in Iraq. Yeah. What did you do in Iraq?
So we're getting out of well, there was some shit getting real. We were one time sinking out because we were so heavy and the reactor failed. So we had no power. So, it gets to a point that you have what we call chicken switches. And those chicken switches are ways to deballast, to get the water out of these tanks that are supposed to make it more buoyant and send us up. It gets to a point, especially when you have a full loadout, that you got to do that or you keep going down below crush depth. Oh, so we had it one time when the reactor failed. We were going down. We were at the point that we had to get the reactor to start up. So that's still time, right? Start up a reactor still time. As we're sinking out, because we have no propulsion, and we're either pulling chicken switches or we're going to sink out. So that was that was like my first deployment. I wasn't qualified yet, but I'm just like, this isn't good, right? No. Everybody's scrambling. Why did this fail? We got to figure this out because you're technically not supposed to start up until you resolve the failure, but typically you're closer to where you could be to come up. Well, that wasn't the case. So, little things start going down. That was one. There's been some ass pucker factors where you're like, wow, we probably, that's why I was never married or brought anybody out there, right? Because I would get back from a deployment being gone for 6 to 7 months, and then I would go work in the shipyard and get home at 8 o'clock at night after that, right? I mean, you're not even there in the first place. So
right.
Why do you think shit fails, right?
Oh, yeah. Because you're not present. Literally not present. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Yeah. No, that's That's crazy. But no, that was smart on your part because you probably would have ended up with a divorce, you know? I
Yeah, it would
mean,
have been like every other statistic about submarine people coming out, leaving, and their wives getting a little lonely and fulfilled other ways.
right, right, exactly. And that's awful. But I mean, it's human nature, you know, we're not built to be alone for long, long, long periods of
No,
time, especially
oh
when
no,
there's kids. And I can't imagine. I mean, I've been a single mom, and but I was never alone in that role. You know, my girls' dad and I co-parented really, really well together, and I'm trying to get him to come on here with me because we have such a great relationship, and I love it.
well,
And
that's a good thing for the
it
family
is.
right there.
It is, exactly. But I can't imagine being completely, you know, alone, like he's gone, and the several hours you know, as far as total different time zone and can't communicate. And then of course it creates distance.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely creates
oh
distance,
yeah,
not only geographically. I mean, it's beyond. And so it is. I can't imagine. So
yeah.
my hats off to all you guys that are deployed
Well, you know,
anyway.
it's kind of a funny thing. Is when I first went away, Kristen can only communicate by teletype, so she would get like 30 words that she could put on a strip that I could get while I was deployed. That was my first deployment. So they would get that, and then if we could get message traffic, they would download it, and then the CO would read everybody's stuff, and then they would get that strip of paper. You get a strip of paper handed to you, and that was your message home from home, right? That was your message from home.
Wow.
And you were able to
Wow.
write a quick little, hey, everything's going well, blah, 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 like whatever. So we could sport that out too. So that was but that's literally what it was. Um,
Wow.
and then my second deployment, we had email, but
Oh,
you had they would still kind of filter it before. So the email would go to a central place. They would filter it before they sent it, and then they would only give you certain emails. Like they wouldn't send emails saying, "Hey, mom and dad are dead," or anything like
oh,
that. They would censor that, and then set up stuff. Obviously, if stuff like that happened, we would
contact.
take people and we would leave what we were doing and get these guys so they could get home or
Right.
otherwise.
Right.
So Halliburton and all those guys burned whatever they could, and I'll throw this little. So they as you leave, they throw a little piece of paper in your medical record. That paper says you may have been exposed to some toxic.
God. And so, right. And now, what do you, if you know, what is the percentage of soldiers, service people that have been exposed that have ended up with cancer or some other major medical health?
That one, that's a good thing. I don't know. I know there was a burn pit registry, right?
Okay.
That I signed up when I came back because they started to find out. Because it started with like the first Gulf War, right? They started, and there was some other shit that was going on, but they were burning the burn pits there too, right?
Yeah.
And that's they started recognizing, oh, we were having some effects because my cancer showed up 2009, 2010, 6 years later, and I just completed an Ironman, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker, and I was not a smoker.
Right.
So why do I have throat cancer? Like when
Yeah.
you're doing Ironmans, you're not drinking, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, I still ain't. I mean, I could probably do 3 beers or a whiskey and be out. Right? I
Right.
cut my. I'll drink fake beer. I like fake beer, but anyway, um, there's certain reasons things had to go like they were. Like
Yeah.
some things recently where I work, my day job, some things didn't happen. I kind of got upset, and I realized now there's a door that that door I thought was something. Oh, that might be kind of cool. That door was shut by somebody because that was not the door I was supposed to go in,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Exactly.
realize that now. I'm like
Yeah.
and now I'm like, well, I shouldn't be wasting all my time with the door that closed. Thinking I
Absolutely.
needed to, and I'm like, no, actually, I don't. I need to focus on my other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Yay. All right,
Yeah,
mister. This has been so wonderful. And I do want to revisit this. I want you to keep me informed and my audience informed about how this is going with Warriors to Will and your mission. And I love
absolutely.
that whole I love everything you're doing with that. And I love your analogy with the bullseye and the four quadrants. That just holds true to all of us. in so many
Yeah.
ways. It really
It does.
does.
It truly does, right?
Yeah.
I talk it as a mission, but it could be life. It could be lifestyle purpose, right? It's
Yep.
it's you finding your freedom to execute what you need to do to get your shit together to impact the rest of yourself and impact everybody else. And you can't do it as a fat slob. You can't do it as a TV junkie,
Right.
right? Read a goddamn book. Drink water. Work out. Fuck. I mean, go for a goddamn walk. Stop
Yeah.
eating the fucking everything fast
Processed
food.
food.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's garbage in, garbage out, garbage in,
Yep.
garbage out, and the way it makes you
Yeah.
feel, and it does
Well, that's the
affect your
same thing with reading
mindset.
a book. Same thing with not thinking about why you're here or who gave you the energy or what your beliefs are. Hey, look, you don't have to believe in God, but you got to believe in the energy that you come from. If you don't
Absolutely.
recharge yourself, all you're doing is letting the other shit just take over.
Take it all. Yeah, and and there's so many energy suckers in this world, and some of them are two-legged, and some of it is a substance,
A lot of them.
I
Yeah.
know. And I stay away from those. I run. This is me. Energy suckers. I run away. All right,
Yep.
mister. Thank you
All
so
right,
much,
young lady.
Rod. All right, man.
Absolutely,
I'll talk
Tiff.
to you soon. Thank
All
you.
right, talk to you soon, young lady.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.